Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So just a quick thing, tomorrow's ratings are actually free for everybody, so I will be able to show the ratings through the day, through all of my selections here. If you want to have a look at them yourself, log on to the website, go to dashboard, go to tomorrow, so click on the tab for tomorrow, and then all of the races will be available for tomorrow. Second point is I'm actually not very well today, I'm not feeling great. Just got a bit of a cold, but if my voice sounds a bit funny, that is the reason. So starting off with the first race at York, who do I like here? You can see I've highlighted Shadow Dance. Now, I like the form of Shadow Dance, and obviously by the time we watch this, it may have been proven to be not very good form. We're also on Saturn earlier or later today. From a race, the Old Rowley Cup, which Alsakib won. Shadow Dance was second and Saturn was third. Now, Alsakib was rated 96 that day. He's now actually rated 111, and he's only 10 to 1 for a Group 2. Shadow Dance finished second to Alsakib off a mark of 88. Yes, went up a few pounds, went up to 95, returned. Didn't go up to 95, sorry, went up to 94, returned this season at Ascot in the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes and probably needed the run. Only went off 15 to 2 that day for a feature handicap, a really competitive handicap. Didn't run great. The handicapper did drop him £1 for that. And he returned, finishing second in the Ripon Bellringer behind Iron Lion when definitely not getting a clear run. Didn't look like he handled the track particularly well. And probably should have won that. If it had been a more conventional track, you think Shadow Dancer would have won and probably gone up £5 or £6. So the fact that the handicapper only raised him £2 for that, back up to 95, I kind of feel there's lots more to come from Shadow Dance. It's interesting that James is happy to ride that for Roger Varian. I don't know whether he can do the weight on Wafai, and that might be why he's not riding Wafai. But the fact that James is riding a rival is a sign of intent for me, and I think, as I said, that those two bits of handicap form where he's been fit look very good. He's clearly unexposed anyway. He's only had 7 runs last season, won a handicap over a mile and three, and then went and finished second in the Old Rowley Cup behind Alsakib. I think that's really, really strong form, and a reproduction of that. Hopefully the slightly more conventional track compared to Ripon means that the horse can run his true race, and if he does, I think he's the one to beat in this, to be honest. And that is currently a bigger price than what I think he should be. He's currently available at 11 to 2. I think he should be a little bit closer to Wafai in the betting, to be honest. Moving on to the 225. And we are sticking with James Doyle, and we're going to go for Gregory in this race. I think Gregory wants this trip. I think this is the ideal trip for Gregory. 1 mile and 6 to 2 mile. And if we actually look at his form, some of that is probably, those sort of trips is probably his best form. He won the Queen's Vase over 1 mile and 6. They then dropped him to 1 mile and 4, which I think was just too quick for him. At York, this was last season, finishing third behind Continuous and Castleway. Still wasn't bad form, probably Group 1 form. Then went for the St Ledger. That's a top quality race, isn't it? Finished 5th. A good run as well behind Continuous, Arrest, Tower of London, Desert Hero. I think that's really strong form. It's proper Group 1 form. This season, returned over 1 mile and 6 in Group 2 at York, and he ran okay. May well have needed the run. It wasn't the worst race anyway. Giavoletto and Vauban were in there. I think he probably needed the run that day. He hadn't run for 244 days. Then ran in the Gold Cup, which I think was just too far. 2.5 mile. Don't think the horse stays 2.5 mile. And then probably ran a career best last time out, went third in the Goodwood Cup over 2 mile. So the fact that this is over 2 mile, that's, I think, is very key. This is the exact trip he wants. He was third behind Kyprios and Sweet William. Well, I think both of those are proper Group 1 horses. Trushan was back in 4th. Trushan had at least won the Coral Marathon coming into that. Yeah, I think that's Group 1 form. I'd be concerned I don't really think Vauban is quite up to that level. And I don't think... I'm not sure Point Lonsdale really wants this trip, even though the way he finished at Chester when winning the Ormond Stakes was very impressive. I kind of feel that things worked out nicely for him that day. That was still only over 1.5 miles. Up to 1.6 miles, 1.7 miles, 2 mile. I think that might just find him out late on. Whereas Gregory should be quite strong in the finish, being that he has at least run over further than this. I think both he and Vauban will outstay Point Lonsdale, and I'm thinking and hoping that Gregory, this is the exact trip he wants. So Gregory is my selection in the second race, and you can currently get 9-2 about Gregory, and I think that's fair. Moving on to the 3 o'clock race. I like a few horses in this race, and but the draw is also really concerning for me, and it's just putting me off having a bet in this race, because I like the Striking Viking, but yesterday those low numbers were definitely favoured. But I like Big Mojo, got a good draw, but I don't quite have him as good as the Striking Viking, and I kind of want to leave this race alone. I think it's between those two, but I don't want to pick one and get beat by the draw, or get beat by the better horse. I think the Striking Viking is the better horse. I think Big Mojo has the better draw. So I'm going to leave this race alone and move on very quickly to the Nunthorpe, where we are going to have a selection, and you can see who it is. It is Asfoora. Beginning of the season, Asfoora came over and ran at Haydock, and I said that day, I think there was 2 Group 1 horses running in that Group 2. They were Living the Dream and Asfoora, and they both ran really well. Living the Dream was second, Asfoora was fourth, and then they went to Ascot. Did Living the Dream run that day? He didn't. Asfoora went to Ascot and won the King Charles III Stakes, the Group 1. We were actually on Big Evs that day, but then we got our rewards next time at Goodwood when Big Evs reversed the form with Asfoora. However, Asfoora was a lot closer than I thought Asfoora would end up giving £5 to Big Evs. I thought Asfoora might finish 3rd or 4th, definitely not a short head behind. With that in mind, I think Asfoora is going to reverse that form here. Asfoora is now getting £1, having given 5 is now getting £1, so £6 better off for a head. I don't see Asfoora finding Big Evs too good this time. I really don't. I think Asfoora is the right favourite here and is the one that's going to take all of the beating. Yeah, Big Evs is going to make the running and he's going to be leading for a long way. I'm hoping that Asfoora then finishes really strongly and can run them down late on. So my selection is Asfoora in the Nunthorpe. You can currently get 2-1 about Asfoora. Moving on to the 4:10. I like Shimozel here. Now, Shimozel last time out, only a few days ago, 9 days ago, beat Whisper, and beat Whisper really comfortably. Now, Whisper had previously ran a really eye-catching race at Goodwood, finishing 5th behind Al Onud, Power of Destiny, Warder, Jamila and Imperial Quarter. Now, I think if Whisper had got a clear run, Whisper would have won. So the fact that Whisper should have won, beating those at the top of the market in this race, I think Whisper should have beaten Power of Destiny and Al Onud. So the fact that Shimozel was then able to comfortably beat Whisper, I wonder whether this penalty is not going to be enough for Shimozel. Yes, the horse likes to go forward and might not get the easiest run across to the front. If Shimozel can jump out though and race relatively prominently, I think Shimozel's going to go really close here. I think the triple suit, the horse started off over 7 furlongs in a novice race back in October of last year and has slowly stepped up in trip, eventually stepped up to 1 mile and 1 and won, beating Whisper and beating our Circa or Cersei that we liked that day. I think that's really strong form. up again in trip to a mile and 2. I think the horse is just going to really come into his own now, or come into her own now that she's over a trip that I think will really suit her. And I think she's overpriced at 10s and 11s. I'd have had at least single figures on the basis of that run with Whisper, who I kind of feel should have beaten Power of Destiny and Awanud. So, you could say on that Schmozzle should be nearly favourite. But yeah, I think that penalty isn't enough to stop Schmozzle from going really close here. 2 to go. We are going through them quite quickly today, probably because I'm not feeling amazing. I just want to get this done. Looking at the Maiden Stakes, we are going to go for Angelo Buonarroti, if he's allowed to take his chance. It was 9th in the Coventry. That's worked out quite nicely, that race. And I think he's the best horse in the race, isn't he? On that running, I don't think this is going to take a lot of winning. They do keep entering this horse and then taking it out. So when they do allow him to take his chance, I think he's going to go, really, really close, isn't he? He's not the biggest price at all. Currently available at 5 to 2. I think I'll go off shorter than that. I actually think he's going to be a group horse in the making. And finally, the last race of the day, I'm going to go for Treasure Time here. Now, Treasure Time is William Haggas, Tom Marquand, and I like these connections. They usually do quite well. But this is another horse that I think has improved for stepping up in trip. Got a win to his name 3 runs ago when winning off 77, beating Jungle Mac by a head at Newmarket. Then went up to a mile and got beat by First Conquest. Now, initially that looked a disappointing run, but I think they've got First Conquest. They think he's quite good, I think. He'd been running in all of the right maiden events. He ran in the Wood Ditton. He won that. He beat Lead Artist by a head that day, or a nose. He's been running in the right type of races, and I don't feel that was a bad run, losing to First Conquest, who clearly appreciated the hood being fitted. Next time, Treasure Time went to Goodwood and ran okay for 5th in a good handicap. Went off the 7 to 2 favourite that day, off 87. Runs here off 87. So he's gone off favourite for a similar race. He's not favourite tomorrow. He's currently available at 10 to 1 tomorrow. He didn't get the clearest of runs either. If you watch, he was making rapid ground just a few furlongs from the finish when he ran into trouble and was never able to pick back up afterwards. With a clear run, I think he would have gone very close. And on that basis, he's surely going to run a really nice race here. Again, this mile trip, I think really suits him. If he can be covered up and this time get a run, I think we're going to get a better run than he did last time. And the fact that he went off 7 to 2 favourite last time, and we're going to get 10s about him tomorrow, we're almost getting 10 to 1 about a horse that should have been favourite and probably might have even won at Goodwood. And I don't think this is any harder than that race at Goodwood. So yeah, I'm hoping for a big run from Treasure Time. He's drawn in 1, so he should be able to get covered up and then swing out wide down the final straight, and hopefully Tom can get a real good tune out of him in that last couple of furlongs with a clear run. So they are my selections for tomorrow. It's a bit of a quicker video. I'd probably say I'm not as confident as I am tomorrow as likes of today and Saturday, sorry. But I'm hoping for some big runs. So Shadow Dance in the first race. I think his couple of placed efforts, his 2 seconds, are very good form. And on this easier track and more conventional track, I think he'll be able to show his true colours. In the Lonsdale, I think this 2 mile trip is perfect for Gregory. I don't know whether Point Lonsdale is going to stay, and I don't have Vauban being quite as good as Gregory. I'm leaving the 3 o'clock alone. The 3:35, I think Asfura is the one to beat in the Nunthorpe. Is the proper Group 1 horse. Better off at the weights with Big Ebs, who should give Asfura a great pace to aim at. I'm going for Schmozzle to show that wasn't a fluke when winning last time out, and that the form line with Whisper is really strong. that form line ties in nicely with those two, Power of Destiny and Our Nude. I think Angelo Buonarroti, if he's allowed to take his chance, will take all of the beating here. They put him into a group race to start. They've clearly waited for a suitable race for him. And finally, in the Sky Bet Mile, I'm going for Treasure Time to get a clear run this time and run a much better race than he did at Goodwood.